Good afternoon, everyone. Can someone tell me whether my voice is clear? Am I audible clearly? And whether you can see this screen clearly? आवाज आ रही है? Good afternoon, good afternoon. My voice is clear, huh? And what about the screen? Can you see the screen clearly? Okay. So welcome to today's session, and today we will continue with our theory of demand and supply, and within demand and supply we will try to focus on consumer aspect. And when in the first class itself I have explained it to you that how consumer is related to the demand aspect of economics and how firms are related to the supply aspect of economics. Hi everybody. Okay, so today we will continue with the demand aspect. That's why we are focusing upon consumer behavior. Okay, and whenever we talk about economics, the most fundamental question that's within the definition of economics is also that how do we best utilize scarce resources to get the maximum satisfaction. Okay, this is what the objective is. So with respect to economics and consumer, whenever a consumer go to the market, okay, and in market there are a lot of aspects present, but consumer has some amount of limited income, or you can say budget. Then how does this consumer decide that what to buy at his or her budget? This decision is all about microeconomics. Hello? This is only about the crux of microeconomics, that we identify that how this decision is taking place at the individual level, isn't it? So we will discuss today more about how this decision is taken by the consumer, and we will analyze it from different analysis that we have in the economics, so that we get to know about the consumer behavior a lot more. Okay, so with respect to consumer's choice, what do you think? Imagine yourself, and whenever you go to a market, what do you think, what are the factors that you think are important while you take a decision with respect to what you need to buy in the market? Anyone? What are the factors that you think are important before buying anything? जो आप लोग कुछ खरीदने जाते हैं तो आप लोग किस किस चीजों पर ध्यान देते हैं? Price, yes. Price, quantity, basically affordability, or what else? This is one thing, but what else? Let's say both person have 1 lakh rupees. Okay, 2 person have 1 lakh rupees, the person A as well as person B, but person A chose to buy iPhone and person B chose to buy OnePlus. then what factor did they both utilized while buying a particular aspect? Quality, brand image. So basically their personal preferences. These things matter. And when we assume these things, that's where the concept of utility comes. And what does utility means? If you go by the definition, want, satisfaction, capability of a commodity. Okay, this is what the definition of utility is. Every commodity has some kind of utility. Let's say iPhone has a utility to you because you want to have some kind of phone that is, let's say, high-end, high-branded mobile phone. Okay, and you want some different special features, you want, let's say, security. So that is the utility of a particular product. Same case with food products. Food products have a utility. What does that utility means? That it satisfies your appetite. Then we have car as a commodity. What does car as a commodity has a utility of? That it can take you from one place to another place. It helps you. Isn't it? So every commodity has a utility in itself. Okay, and with different number of but utility also has a quality. And what is that quality? That it is subjective. And when I say subjective, you guys already understand that, for the same product, it can have different utility for different persons. Can you give any example? Anyone? Any example of same product which has different type of utility for different kind of product, people. Not the same utility. Any product that you can think of. Anyone? Abhi example diya. Just now we have discussed a particular example. Let's take iPhone. Okay? Now give this iPhone to a, let's say, 25-year-old. And give this iPhone to a 65-year-old person. Now, can you tell me for which the utility is high and for which person does the utility is less with respect to iPhone? Yes, correct, Priyam. Phone, one can use it for business, other children use it to play. Same case with here. The 25-year-old, will be using a lot more facilities of iPhone compared to 65-year-old. Hello? So that's why it is subjective in nature. Let's take another example. Another subjectivity within utility is that it keeps on changing with respect to time and place. Example, let's take video games. ठीक है? For a boy at, let's say when the boy is young, okay, that video games have high utility, and when he's, let's say, 25 to 30 years old, the utility, I'm sorry, for boys the utility I guess remains the same. Let's take another example. Let's take room heater. ठीक है? Room heater in winter has high utility, but in summer it has low utility. So it changes with the time and place also. When you're talking about place, so its utility will be higher in Jammu and Kashmir, and its utility will be lower in Rajasthan. Yes, no utility basically. Okay, so this is what the nature of utility is. That it is subjective in nature. It has, it keeps on changing based on the type of person, or maybe because of the type of place or time, time itself. Now, how can we analyze this utility, or what can this utility analysis helps us in understanding consumer behavior? At the end, what we are doing? At the end, we are trying to understand how that consumer is, placing or taking a decision with respect to how much to buy and what to buy. And we are not just focusing on only one particular decision. We will be understanding, different type of decisions that particular consumer can take. That means if that consumer can take one decision, one more decision, third decision, by adjusting its price, by adjusting the quantity he or she is willing to buy, that we will see. Yes, law of diminishing marginal utility. Yes, correct. Okay, that we will discuss. So in utility analysis, we see two types of analysis. First is cardinal utility analysis. What's next? Ordinal utility analysis. The main difference between these two is what? This cardinal utility analysis assumes that utility can be, quantified, that it can be given a number, it can be objective, and we can put it in numbers. Whereas ordinal doesn't think that. Ordinal utility analysis says that it is subjective. It can't be quantified in numbers. That means you cannot say that that utility will be 20, 30, anything like that. It only says that utility can either be higher or lower, but not any particular number. Okay, so this is the basic difference between cardinal utility analysis and ordinal utility analysis. Now let's focus on cardinal utility analysis. Let's focus on its basic assumption, that it says that they can say the utility can be a particular number. Let's say 30, 20. That means for a person using iPhone, for a 25-year-old, the utility will be higher, let's say 30. For a, let's say 63-year-old, the utility will be lower, 20. This is what cardinal utility analysis says. that utility can be given a particular number. Okay, and whatever utility that they think of a particular product, let's assume it as its total utility. Okay. So till now, any problem to anyone? Any doubts to anyone? Because this can get a little bit technical, but not that much difficult. Okay. So we've understood that total utility is the number that tells you that, that will tell you about the total satisfaction a person gets from a particular commodity. Then there is a concept of marginal utility. And what is its definition? Marginal utility says the amount of satisfaction that you receive by adding one more component of that commodity. For example, okay, let's say you already bought an iPhone, okay, but what if you buy another iPhone? How much satisfaction you will get? Obviously, the satisfaction which you get from the first iPhone, you will not get the same satisfaction in the next iPhone. You will say, I already have one, so I don't want anyone. So satisfaction is a little bit less. Let's take another example. Let's say you already bought a particular let's say you have bought for your personal use 3 bananas. Okay, so you feel like that 3 bananas are more than enough for me to eat. But what if I give you another banana? Okay, then how much satisfied you will be? You will feel like, okay, chalo de do thoda sa aur. But what if I give you 2 more bananas? Then you will feel like that I don't want it. It is not giving me any satisfaction. Instead, I actually want to remove it. Then the satisfaction goes into negative. So every additional unit which you add and how much satisfaction that you get, that is known as marginal utility. That means amount of utility a commodity provides by adding an additional quantity. This is the concept of marginal utility. Okay. This is like similar like how I guess if you guys have already heard about marginal productivity, the same formula is being utilized here. In marginal productivity, what do we see? Marginal productivity we most of the time see in disguised unemployment, where we say the marginal productivity in disguised unemployment is 0. And what does that tells us? That marginal productivity, that how much productivity it will increase when you increase one more labor. But when there are already a lot of labor, when the work is very small, then even if you add one more labor, there will be, the impact on work will be close to 0. So similar the concept here. The satisfaction that you receive by adding one more quantity of that commodity gives you about marginal utility. Example, you can always have an example of iPhone. Your first iPhone will give you, let's say 50 utility, but your second iPhone will give you 30 utility, and most probably third iPhone you will feel like I want to sell this iPhone, so minus 10 utility. है ना? Any confusion here to anyone? or anything anyone wants to ask? The same thing is explained by law of diminishing marginal utility. Which says that whenever you increase the quantity of commodity, its marginal utility declines. Okay? So when you mark total utility, okay? So it will be obviously marginal utility 1, that means the first commodity which you buy, then marginal utility 2, the second additional commodity, marginal utility 3, the third additional commodity, and the relationship will always be marginal utility 1 will be higher than marginal utility 2, and it will be higher than marginal utility 3. Example, let's take bananas example. Your initial 3 bananas will give you more satisfaction than, let's say, 4 bananas, 5 bananas. And this is with respect to marginal utility. Don't confuse it by number. Okay? So this is what cardinal utility analysis told you, and when they talk about with respect to numbers, they say, okay, that every marginal utility have a particular number, okay, and that's why utility you can also quantify in numbers. But that's not ordinal utility talked about. Ordinal utility said that it is subjective. Okay, अब ordinal utility में we will not use numbers. We will only use subjectivity, and let's see how we can utilize ordinal utility analysis to explain the law of diminishing marginal utility. ठीक है, उधर तो बड़े आसानी से कर लिया. Yes, correct, every successive unit. अब cardinal utility analysis में तो we could easily understand that through numbers we can also plot, or through numbers we could also easily understand. But इधर तो हम लोग high और low ranking पर judge करेंगे. तो इधर we will deal in bundles. Let's say, let's plot a graph here. ठीक है? So let's say that person can only buy bananas and oranges, and obviously it has a particular set, that 5 bananas, 5 oranges. Let's say it comes here, 5 bananas, 5 oranges. Okay, and 5 bananas, 5 oranges provides them a particular utility, any amount. Okay, but what if we actually changes the quantity? Let's change the quantity to here. First of all, let's draw the graph. This is the graph of oranges. This is the graph of line of bananas. And when you change this, okay, this graph will tell you the law of diminishing marginal utility. How so? First of all, let's see law of diminishing marginal utility told you about, with every addition of commodity, its utility declines, है ना? So what are you doing from coming from this point to below points? You are decreasing the amount of oranges but increasing the amount of bananas. ठीक है? So that means for every increase in banana, its utility declines, whereas because you are increasing banana, you are reducing the amount of oranges, and because you are reducing the amount of oranges, can you tell me whether its marginal utility will increase or decrease? Anyone? Whenever there is an increase in commodity, we've already seen in the iPhone case that its marginal utility will decrease, because every other increased quantity will not give you satisfaction than the previous one. But when that quantity is decreased, let's say you could easily buy 3 iPhones, now you could only buy 2 iPhones. So every additional loss of quantity will gives your marginal utility of iPhone higher. तो oranges के केस में तो increase करेगी ना, because its quantity is reducing, because you could only buy this much amount of products. 5 इधर 4.5 sorry 6 to 4.5 and 7 to 4. That means you're reducing the amount of oranges but increasing the amount of bananas. ठीक है? तो naturally that's why this is explained here. To understand the law of declining marginal utility, we have to understand the marginal rate of substitution. What is marginal rate of substitution? उसके केस में तो आपने समझ लिया कि लॉ ऑफ डिमिनिशिंग मार्जिनल यूटिलिटी की एवरी एक कंपोनेंट को ऐड करके हम लोगों ने जो यूटिलिटी डिफाइन करी, दैट विल कॉन्जिक्यूटिवली विल बी स्मॉलर. बट इन केस ऑफ मार्जिनल रेट ऑफ सब्सटीट्यूशन, बिकॉज वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट इन बंडल्स, कि हमारे पास एक लिमिट ऑफ यूटिलिटी सेटिस्फैक्शन अचीव करने की डिजायर है, एंड दैट विल बी अचीव्ड बाय अ सेट ऑफ बंडल्स, चाहे वो 3 ऑरेंजेस और 7 बनाना खरीद के हो, या 5 बनाना या 5 ऑरेंजेस खरीद के हो, है ना. तो रेट ऑफ सब्सटीट्यूशन क्या है? तो 5 जो आपका इनिशियल था, अब उसमें अगर आप बनानास को डिक्रीज करोगे तो कितने बनाना डिक्रीज करके आपको कितने मैंगो खरीदने पड़ेंगे जिससे आपको सेटिस्फैक्शन सेम अचीव हो पाए. दैट मीन्स लेट्स अज्यूम दिस इज द लाइन विच सेज योर सेटिस्फैक्शन और यूटिलिटी रिमेन्स द सेम. ठीक है, ऑरेंजेस यहां बनानास थे ना, बनानास ऑरेंजेस. ठीक है, अब इस लाइन पर अगर हम लोग कोई भी क्वांटिटी बताएं, योर मार्जिनल यूटिलिटी और यूटिलिटी रिमेन्स द सेम, चाहे वो इधर आप इतने बनाना इतने ऑरेंज खरीद रहे हो, या फिर आप लेट्स से दिस इज 10 and 2, it's 8 or 2. ठीक है, whatever points that will be on that curve will say that इतनी क्वांटिटी का जो बंडल्स हैं आपकी सेटिस्फैक्शन सेम रहेगी. बट अगर आपकी क्वांटिटी आप जैसे इधर रिड्यूस करा रहे हो 5 से 3, you are substituting 2 bananas increase to increase these 2 bananas, how much you are giving up on mangoes. 2 बनाना इंक्रीज करने के लिए आपको कितने मैंगोज वो करने पड़े, इग्नोर करने पड़े? 2, because you increased 5 to 7 by 2, then you reduced the same for 2. ठीक है, मगर इसको अगर आप और नीचे लेके जाओगे तो सिंस द डिमिनिशिंग मार्जिनल यूटिलिटी सेज दैट अब आपको जरूरत ही नहीं है और बनाना खरीदने की, तो आप प्रेफर करेंगे कि मैंगो ज़्यादा आप रिड्यूस ना करें. लेट्स से इफ यू टेक दिस हेयर, तो इट विल बी लाइक 10 and 2. आप कहेंगे कि 3 बनाना आप रिड्यूस कर लो लेकिन मैंगो एक ही रिड्यूस करो, बिकॉज यूटिलिटी ऑफ मैंगो नाउ बिकम्स हायर फॉर यू व्हेन देयर इज एक्सेस बनाना. ठीक है, so this is what diminishing marginal substitution is, marginal rate of substitution. And that same graph will be straight in case of goods with perfect substitution. And what do we mean by perfect substitution? ठीक है, let's take an example of 5. You have 5 rupees note and 5 rupees coins. तो अगर आप 5 रुपए के नोट रिड्यूस करके 3 5 रुपए के नोट कर लीजिए और 2 5 रुपए के कॉइन बढ़ा लीजिए, तो आपकी यूटिलिटी कम होगी या बढ़ जाएगी? दोनों में से किसकी यूटिलिटी कम होगी, बढ़ जाएगी? आप बताएंगे? इफ यू हैव लेट्स से 5 rupees coin and 5 rupees notes, but if you make 3 5 rupees coin and 7 5 rupees notes, यहां तो आपने इंक्रीज कर दी कमोडिटी की, तो आपकी जो टोटल यूटिलिटी है या फिर इंडिविजुअल यूटिलिटीज या तो बढ़ेगी या कम होगी? ये लॉ के हिसाब से मत सोचो, आप अपने हिसाब से सोचो कि मैं आपको 3 5 रुपए के कॉइन दूं या 5 5 रुपए के कॉइन दूं, इस सेट में दूं या इधर, सेम ही रहेगी ना, क्योंकि दोनों परफेक्ट सब्स्टिट्यूट है. या तो आप मुझे ये दे दो या ये दे दो, दोनों की वैल्यू तो बराबर ही है. है ना? बट ये चेंज हो जाएगी इस केस में कि 5 आईफोन है और 5 OnePlus है. ठीक है, अब इसको प्लॉट करते हैं. आप सब लोग बताना. ठीक है, 5 आईफोन 5 OnePlus. अगर मैं 2 आईफोन घटा दूं, ठीक है, इफ आई रिड्यूस 2 आईफोन्स, तो हाउ मच OnePlus मोर कैन कम? अगर एक आईफोन 50,000 का है, वन आईफोन इज फॉर 1 लाख रुपीज and one OnePlus is 50,000. How much more OnePlus I can get for replacing 2 iPhones? You guys tell me. 2 आईफोन रिड्यूस करने पे मैं कितने वन प्लस खरीद सकता हूं? 4. तो बेसिकली व्हाट हैपेंड, तो यहां से पहले आप 5 से 3 पर आ जाओ, ठीक है. सो दिस इज डिफरेंस ऑफ 2, बट हियर द वन प्लस एक्चुअली शिफ्टेड फ्रॉम 5 to 9, so it will come around here. So let's join this. But what if I want to increase 2 iPhones? If I want to increase 2 iPhones, how much OnePlus I have to sell or I have to reduce if I want to increase 2 iPhones? Everyone. नहीं 8 क्यों आएगा? 2 ही तो बढ़ा रहे हैं. 4 ही आएगा ना. It will be 4 only because 2 iPhone cost 2 lakh rupees, 50,000, 4 pieces, है ना. So that means if I have to increase 2 iPhones, ठीक है, so naturally this will come here 7, and but I have to reduce 4 OnePlus, so it will be coming here 1. So this will be around here. ठीक है, तो वो ऐसे this curve will be forming and it will not be a straight line. That's what I'm trying you to understand, because for every increase in iPhone, the utility of others are increasing. ठीक है? So this is the difference between the goods which are perfect substitution and the goods which are imperfect substitution. इधर अगर आप करोगे, let's take this example, फिर whatever amount you give me, it remains the same. The value remains the same. चाहे 5 कर दो, चाहे 8 2 कर दो, चाहे 7 या 3 कर दो, 2 8 कर दो, सॉरी, है ना. This is what the marginal rate of substitution tells us. ठीक है? Any confusion to anyone? If you have any confusion, please feel free to ask me any question. चलो आगे बढ़े. Now let's discuss about consumer budget. तो जब हम लोग इनिशियली स्टार्ट किए थे, यू गाइज ओनली टोल्ड मी दैट प्रेफरेंसेस वर इंपॉर्टेंट, है ना. तो प्रेफरेंस के बेसिस पे यू अंडरस्टूड यूटिलिटी. नाउ लेट्स मूव ऑन टू इनकम एंड प्राइस. That was the second thing that you guys told me, that is, or you can say affordability is important while a consumer makes its decision. So in budget we will discuss the same, which is the price and income, है ना. तो let's say your income is 1,000 rupees, or not 1,000 rupees. Let's say your income is 5 lakh rupees. ठीक है. And the price of iPhone is 1 lakh rupees. And the price of OnePlus is what? 50,000. ठीक है. तो फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल अंडरस्टैंड दैट दिस इज and there is only these two components in the economy. That means only these two things are there for you to buy with this income. ठीक है, अगर हम इसको इक्वेशन बनाएं, let's make a equation. So iPhone 1 lakh into X number of quantity X1, ठीक है, प्लस 50K into X2 number of quantity shall be less than or equal to 5 lakh rupees. What does this tell you? Whatever iPhone in what quantity along with whatever OnePlus in another quantity, the total amount of price should be less than or equal to your income. माने जितना भी आप आईफोन या फिर OnePlus खरीद रहे हैं, ठीक है, उसकी क्वांटिटी केवल उतनी होनी चाहिए जितनी आपकी इनकम अलाउ कर रही है उसको बाय करने के लिए. फिर दो तरीके हो सकते हैं, या तो दोनों आप जब भी खरीद रहे हैं आपके इनकम के अंडर आ रहा है या आपके इनकम के बराबर आ रहा है, बट आपके इनकम को क्रॉस नहीं कर सकता. इट कैन नॉट क्रॉस योर इनकम बिकॉज यू विल नॉट बी एबल टू बाय, isn't it? So that means this becomes your budget constraint. Isn't it? Now let's see how many quantities you can take from the budget. ठीक है, your budget is 5 lakh rupees and the price of iPhone is 1 lakh rupees. iPhone and price of OnePlus is 50K. Now all of you guys tell me number of bundles or number of ways in which we can buy these commodities. ठीक है, extreme वाला I can tell. So I can either buy 5 iPhones, 0 OnePlus, or I can buy 0 iPhones and 10 OnePlus. ठीक है, तो if I am plotting OnePlus here, iPhone here, तो 5 iPhone, 10. So this will be my budget line. Other ways you can also tell me in what other ways I can buy these two commodities. Anyone? 5 iPhone खरीद लिए मैंने 5 लाख के, तो पैसा बचा नहीं. I cannot buy anything other than iPhone. And here I've already utilized 5 lakh rupees for 10 OnePlus, so I cannot buy any more iPhone. Yes, correct, Ishwarya. So you said 4, 2. Very good. What about others? Others should also try. What different possibilities can be there in which we can buy iPhone and OnePlus? Think about. आप इसके नंबर चेंज करते जाइए. 4, 5, 4. If you buy 3 iPhone, how much price you have to buy OnePlus? You can buy 4 OnePlus. And then 2 iPhone. And how much you can buy? 6. Yes, correct, Sunil. And when you buy 1 iPhone, then you can have 8 OnePlus. ठीक है? So if we want to plot it here, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. ठीक है? 1, 2, 3. सो व्हाट इनएविटेबली यू विल गेट, ठीक है, जितनी भी पॉसिबिलिटीज हैं वेयर इट रिमेन्स द बजट, मतलब 5 लाख के अमाउंट पर जितने भी आइटम्स आप खरीद सकते हैं एग्जैक्ट 5 लाख पर, दैट विल बी योर बजट लाइन, ठीक है, वो सारे पॉइंट्स इस लाइन पर आ जाएंगे. लेट्स टेक एन एग्जांपल ऑफ 4. 4 वाले केस में आप 2 खरीद पा रहे थे, ठीक है. अगर आप उस पर प्लॉट करेंगे तो इट विल कम समथिंग लाइक दिस, ठीक है. 3 पर आप कितने 4 अचीव कर पा रहे थे, 2 पर 6, 1 पर 8. So these points will, ठीक है, so these will be your budget line. Understand these core concepts. Budget constraint हमने क्या पढ़ा था, 5 लाख का जो अमाउंट, that becomes our budget constraint. This is your budget line. That means it tells you about the number of commodities in different proportions that can be equal to your budget constraint, 5 lakh rupees. But what if, what about the points here? Let's take an example of 3 and 3. What about this point? क्या हम लोग ये खरीद सकते हैं? 3 iPhones और 3 OnePlus. Can we buy this? Anyone? Yes or no? Just tell me yes or no. Yes, obviously. ठीक है, तो if we are buying this, then obviously if we are buying what, अगर कोई भी पॉइंट अगर इस बजट लाइन के अंदर है, ठीक है, if any point is below this budget line, let's take an example here. That means you are not utilizing your budget fully, ठीक है. That means some amount of money will be left with you, ठीक है, but it is possible. That means this is your possibility sphere, कि इतना आप इसमें से कोई भी आप number of commodities you can take and you can easily buy. Yes, इधर नहीं खरीद सकते आप, because that can increase the that can go ahead the budget constraint. For example, what does this line tells you? This line tells you ये commodity है 4 और 7. तो 4 iPhone costs you 4 lakh rupees, 7 OnePlus cost you 3.5. तो ये तो 7.5 lakh हो गया, and this is not even in your budget. 2.5 lakh ahead of your budget. Okay, so I hope you can easily understand this. You easily understood this budget line. Any confusion here to anyone? Okay. Now one more thing we need to do. And what is that one more thing? See, understanding these graphs are important, but understanding how these graphs change with the change in variables, that is most important. Okay? And what do I mean by that? That how does this graph actually changes when the prices of commodity change? Okay? Let's take an example. Okay, now this was our initial graph. 5, 10, OnePlus, 5 iPhone, and that was initial prices. What were the initial prices? iPhone price was 1 lakh, OnePlus was 50K. ठीक है. And now let's focus on the new price. And what are the new prices? iPhone now costs you 50K. ठीक है. But OnePlus remains the same. Now let's talk about the possibilities. ठीक है. Now can you tell me, while 1 being 0, how much I can produce? So I can now buy, and the budget was initially 5 lakh rupees, budget remains the same. So with that budget, I can now buy 10 iPhones, 0 iPhones and then 10. What else are the possibilities? Can anyone tell me? With 5 lakh budget and this is the new price, what are the bundles can we now think of? Everyone. अरे बताओ ना, कितने आईफोन्स और कितने वो आप खरीद सकते हैं? द एग्जाम विल बी ऑनलाइन, ओलिविया. ओके, एग्जाम विल बी ऑनलाइन एंड ऑब्जेक्टिव. वजीर सेज 5-5. यस, करेक्ट. तो 5-5 कर लो. 9-1, 8-2, 7-3, 6-4, 4-6, है ना? तो what new graph will be? This will be your new graph. If this is 10, this is 10. ठीक है? So as you saw, when the price actually declined, when the iPhone price declined, what happened to its graph? It actually shifted towards, higher proportions. Or you say the graph has become vertically more steeper. It has become now steeper. When the graph usually increases on the vertical side, then obviously it becomes steeper. है ना? Now let's take a different example. Let's take a different example, everyone. Now another new price. iPhone now costs 2 lakh rupees, whereas OnePlus remains the same, 50K. Now tell me the possibilities. I will give you the extreme possibilities that if I buy 0, and what are these possibilities? If I buy 0 iPhones, then I can buy how much OnePlus? 10 OnePlus. But if I buy 1 iPhone, I can buy 6. If I buy 2 iPhones, I can buy 2. और कोई possibility दिख ही नहीं रही. ठीक है? So that means where will this graph take me? If I buy 1, then I will be at 6. If this is 5, this is 6. And if I buy 2, I will be at 2 here. So it's somewhere around this, the graph will be there. So that means if you increase the iPhone price from the initial one, the graph actually shifted below, or it actually turned a little bit flatter. ठीक है? अगर आपने आईफोन की प्राइस बढ़ा दी तो वो गिर जाएगा, क्योंकि अब आप आईफोन कम खरीद सकते हो अपने बजट में, है ना। क्वांटिटी के हिसाब से आप डील कीजिए। अगर आप किसी भी चीज की प्राइस बढ़ा देंगे तो जितनी आप क्वांटिटी पहले खरीदते थे, यू कैन नॉट बाय दैट मच क्वांटिटी, यू विल बी बाइंग लेस क्वांटिटी बिकॉज द प्राइसेस हैज इंक्रीज्ड. बट इफ द प्राइसेस is declined, you can buy more prices. So if you're thinking in vertical axis and if the prices are declined, then you can buy more quantity, it becomes steeper. But if the prices are increased, you can buy less quantity, then it becomes flatter. So is this clear to everyone? How does the graph shifts depending upon the changes in price? Any confusion? Any confusion to anyone? Everything clear? चलो ठीक है. So this will be our today's session. Let's do some questions and we will end this session. Okay? Let's try to do this question based on whatever we have learned today. Chalo. Same question, whatever we have discussed just now, the question is based on that only. Suppose the good 1 is taken on horizontal axis. तो बना लो इसको. इधर गुड 1 है एंड गुड 2 ऑन वर्टिकल एक्सिस. ठीक है. तो बेसिकली दे हैव दिस सेट. देन व्हाट हैपेंस टू द बजट लाइन इफ द प्राइस ऑफ 1 इज डबल्ड एंड द प्राइस ऑफ गुड 2 triples. Now tell me, how will the budget line shift? Will it go higher or will it go flatter? अब ये कर ले रहा आप सब लोग. It's very easy. Just now we learned how to do this. Ishwara says B. The budget lines become flatter. Okay, what about others? बाकी सब लोग try करो. Just now, what will happen to this budget line when the price of 1 is doubled and when the price of 2 is tripled? सोच के देखो ना. अगर किसी का आप प्राइस डबल कर रहे हो तो मतलब आप उतने बजट पर आप क्वांटिटी ज्यादा नहीं खरीद सकते, है ना. तो द क्वांटिटी वाइज इट विल गो डाउन, और जिसका सबसे ज्यादा प्राइस बढ़ा है वो सबसे ज्यादा गिरेगा. तो इन दोनों में से पहले ये आइडेंटिफाई करो कि कौन सबसे ज्यादा गिर रहा है, एंड दैट विल बी योर आंसर. सो 2 लेट्स से यहां तक गिरा, बट 3 बिकॉज दिस प्राइस हैज ट्रिपल्ड, सो इट विल बी लाइक दिस. तो ये ऐसा हो जाएगा. That means it has become more flatter, not steeper, because the vertical axis has fallen down more. So well done, Ishwara. ठीक है? This is the correct answer. Next question, based on assumptions of ordinal utility analysis, and this should be an easy one. Consumers are consistent in their preferences. Consumer can measure the total utility received from any given basket of goods. Measure का मतलब उसको quantify कर सकते हैं. Consumer preferences follow transitivity, are non-satiated with respect to goods they confront. Consumers are irrational. What do you think is the correct answer? अरे बता ही दिया क्या? tell me. Ordinal utility analysis, we've already understood that it rejects the proposition that utility can be measured. Our ordinal utility analysis said utility cannot be measured. तो आप ये options तो easily you can eliminate this option. Then this option you can eliminate. These two option remains. And then consumers are irrational. ये तो बिल्कुल ही गलत है. 3 is your answer. Correct. Correct, Ishwara. Let's go to the next question. ये सिंपल सा क्वेश्चन है, मार्जिनल रेट ऑफ सब्सटीट्यूशन या फिर मार्जिनल यूटिलिटी का. ठीक है. इन द केस ऑफ डिफरेंस कर्व ऑफ टू गुड्स एक्स एंड वाई, अगर कंजम्पशन ऑफ एक्स इंक्रीजेस तो मार्जिनल यूटिलिटी ऑफ एक्स ओवर वाई, यस, सी, डिक्रीजेस. वेरी गुड सनील. ठीक है. सो दिस इज ऑल फॉर टुडे. Next, in the next session, which will be on live classes, we will continue with our theory of consumer behavior. We will study about marginal, price elasticity of demand and other aspects. Okay. So this is all from my side. If you have any doubts, please ask. Otherwise, we'll end this session. चलो, thank you guys for joining. Thank you for actively participating. ठीक है? Let's meet in the next session.